Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. The Atari 5200. I just picked this up, guys. I got it while I was up in Madison. I go up there all the time to shoot Game Society Pimps videos. Check out that channel. It's a very funny video game channel if you haven't seen it. I'm up there in a thrift store, and they had a lot of, like, pots and pans and waffle makers and monitors and keyboards, all sorts of just junk, that you would expect at a thrift store, and in their electronics section anyway. And buried beneath all of that was this, an Atari 5200. And I was really surprised to see it because, first of all, you don't see Atari 5200s particularly often, and if you do, it's usually specialty video game stores that know what they are and know what they're worth. But yeah, I got it for $7, which is amazing because, like I said, specialty stores are the only place you see these things usually, and they're usually like low-end 50, normally 80 or so, high-end maybe 100. But then again, this one is beat to shit, as you can see. It needs a lot of work, but it found the right owner. I'm going to take care of it. We're going to clean it. We're going to restore it. Unfortunately, it did not come with any controllers, which is sort of a problem. I mean, it's a problem because I can't play it, but also if it did, I don't even think they would work. Famously, Atari 5200 controllers never, ever work. It's a pain in the ass to get them to work, and so I haven't really tackled that problem yet. It did not come with any games. I had to go out and buy some. Fortunately, Atari 5200 games are really cheap because nobody can play them, so they're usually in like 50 to 99-cent bins in like video game stores. So that's pretty cool. The only hard part really was getting a power supply. It didn't come with that either. If you look on the back, you'll see it has obviously what looks like a standard power supply. And so I looked around my house and I'm like, I've got to have something that'll fit that and meet the power requirements. I didn't. So I did some research and found out it was actually kind of difficult. And so I went into a video game store I know that's local here in Chicago, and I asked the guy if he had any, and he's like, well, I do, but I don't really sell those. I need those for parts. And I was like, is there any way I can get you to? He's like, what do you need it for? And I just explained my situation, and he was like, all right, sure. So he decided to sell me one. So I was able to at least test in the store that this thing powered up. So that's good. I know it powers up, and if it powers up, it probably works. Cartridge systems usually work when they power up. I mean, it's hard to kill cartridge systems unless it's the NES, because those things die all the time. But straight load Atari stuff generally works. So I'm pretty optimistic this thing will function. If you want to see, this is what the games looked like. Relatively big cartridge, and they just fit in like that. Pretty neat. This is Mario Bros. Made by Nintendo. This is not Super Mario Brothers, so don't get confused, but it is the same character, it's just a very different game. This game ended up on a lot of different systems. I actually I have it on the Atari 2600 right there. I have this on the Atari 7800. You guys might remember my cleaning video of that. I also have it on the NES, actually. So, yeah, I got this from my cousin. I think you guys saw that video as well. Hopefully you saw that when he gave me a ton of NES stuff. But anyway, that's not the point. This is more the point. That's what they look like. But unfortunately, won't be able to play it, even if it works, which does suck. But, yeah, most people probably know the 5200 from the AVGN's video. He got some things very right about this thing, including the size and the strangeness of that. I mean, obviously that's to hold the controllers, but if you don't have controllers, what is the point? Yeah, I mean, what else can I say about this that you guys don't already know? One thing I can point out is that he had the 4-controller port version. As you can see, this only has 2 controller ports. The 4-controller port version is also that version with like the really stupid electrical design where this system has one cable that comes off it, it plugs in a little box, and then the electrical cord plugs into that same little box, and then that goes in your TV. Really horrible design. This is not that version. This has a separate power supply, as you just saw a moment ago, and these versions are more reliable. So it was better to find this, because if I had found the other one, I'm not really sure I would have bought it. But yeah, enough of this. Enough of my ramblings about this. Let's go ahead and clean this up. I look forward to cleaning up Atari's second system, because yeah, it's nice to finally own one of these. I've kept an eye out for a while. But anyway, on the back, you'll find a few screw points. I'm assuming it's very similar on the 4-controller port version. They probably didn't change it much. There's 3 on the bottom underneath the cable wrappings. Then there's 2, one right there and one right there. and then there's some right in the corner right there and right there. Despite those little holes right there, those are not actually screw points. They all use a standard Phillips head screwdriver, so go ahead and remove all those if, well, all 2 of you that are watching and actually going to do this, because I'm sure most of you watching do not have one of these. But kudos to you guys if you're actually doing this. And yeah, or you could just watch and just see how this works out. Okay, so I should have said this before you take the screws out, so do that now. Remove this. This is the RF cable. Make sure you unwind this first before you remove the screws. Then go ahead and remove the screws. And then when you do that, you'll be left with these. That's the majority of them. And then the only 2 that are worth noting are those 2 over there. They go back over here and over here. They're the only ones that are different. Other than that, they're all the same. So now that you've done that, presumably, turn the system over, and we're just going to lift the lid off. One great thing about Atari stuff is it's usually just 2 pieces. Now, you guys ready? Let's see what it looks like. And it's pretty gross, so it's good. It's a good thing we're doing this. First we'll start up here. It looks like the big door thing just kind of comes off, so that's good. Move that to the side, and the power button comes out. So push down these little clips on each side, push in, and then push that center part, and then the button will come out. And be careful, there's a spring on it, so make sure to not lose that. Other than that, it looks like one solid piece, or at least for our purposes anyway. Looks like when they constructed it, it's actually 2 different pieces here. You got this piece there, and then the main piece of plastic. And the only reason I'm even bringing that up is because I'm looking at it, and it looks like they left slots for the 4 controller ports, so they didn't even change that basic molding. I'm sure they realized it was impossible to find one functional Atari 5200 controller, much less 4 of them. Seriously, 4 ports on a system that can't ever be played because its controllers never work. That's kind of mind-blowing. But anyway, we're going to take this piece of plastic and technically a little bit of metal, and we're going to clean it up with some soap and water and brushes and stuff and try to get it nice and new and clean. And the same goes for the little plastic pieces I took off. But the next step here is we're going to... Well, that's kind of cool. Check that out. You can actually get to the board. Usually, or the cartridge slot. Usually you can't do that. Atari stuff tends to block that out a little bit. You know, in fact, you can kind of see it in there, that molding. Usually that's too attached to the contact, so it's kind of cool to be able to easily get to that. That'll be easy to clean. But anyway, we're going to take the board out, and it looks like this is the RF cable. It looks like you're probably going to want to create a little bit of slack there for yourself. So on the back, kind of push in a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Push in a little. Maybe pull on this, give yourself a little slack, and then just kind of lift it. And I should note, because I'm already feeling it, it looks like feels like it's attached somewhere else. Oh, right there. There's this little plastic piece. It looks like, I'm sure that's barely going to show up. There's a little plastic piece right by my finger there that's part of the molding, and it's going into the board. And so you're going to have to be careful and lift around that. I would not recommend pushing on those. You don't want to pop any old solder points. Just kind of, you know, get it out as best you can. There we go. Okay, came out. Underneath, it's attached right there. I don't know how you can see that right there. Just kind of unhook the cable and then pull this up like this. And then what you're going to do is take the RF cable and just pull it through all the way. Very exciting stuff here. Come on, RF cable. Let's go. Oh, come on, don't tangle up. That's just annoying. The people are watching. Alright, untangle it, pull it through. There we go. Now we're down to the bottom of the mold. Like I said, Atari just does 2 big chunks of plastic traditionally, so that makes it easier to clean these things. Ooh, that's the expansion bay cover right there, which they just covered up with plastic. It looks like you can remove it if you get inside of it. I wonder if there's any... Well, alright, on the board here you can see, right, this part is where it would go. There is a cartridge slot type of thing back there. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a board there for something. I don't know what that would have ever done. Maybe it does do something, I have no idea. I don't know a whole lot about the 5200. But anyway, let's before we address this, let's go ahead and clean those up. Okay, so you can see I've cleaned up these pieces. A lot of them look a hell of a lot better. In fact, it does look a hell of a lot better. It's much nicer, but it still has, obviously, its issues. There are still little scuffs and stuff that water and soap did not get out. For that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser. I use this all the time. I'm sure you've seen it before. It's basically like a fine little sand powder with some bleach in it, essentially, and it just kind of, well, it kicks the crap out of all these kind of scuffs. So let's try it on this big one here. And you just kind of wipe it down like this, back and forth a few times, and then wipe that off, and voila, your scuff is gone, which is fantastic. Now it leaves a little dust everywhere, so you might want to rinse it again or wipe it down with something else. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a look at both pieces and try to find big scuffs and get rid of them. But be careful when you use this type of thing because it can remove logos, so just be careful what you use it on. Although I doubt it would get rid of that since that's metal. After going at it with Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser, removing that mark and re-washing it again just to get some of that dust out of there, you can see it's great. All the marks are gone, which is awesome. So now what I have to do is I have to let this dry, and that'll take a while because these pieces are so damn big. But you know, you do not want to put the thing back together while there's moisture on the case. So this does take a long time. So just set it to the side and let it dry up for a few hours, and then I'll show you. But in the meantime, I'll show you what we do with the board. Okay, so now we're going to work on the board. Now we can't clean it the same way we clean plastic because you can't run this underwater or you'll destroy it. So let's see, what can we do? First, the most obvious thing with this specific unit is that messed up area over there. I'm not really sure what most of that is, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some Windex, just a glass cleaner type of thing, also known as Windoline in certain parts of the world, and just spray it on a paper towel and just kind of wipe the system down. That's going to take me a while to clean up. I'm not even going to bother showing you that whole process. I'll continue that later. But what else to do is I'm going to take some compressed air and just kind of blow it on the circuits here, and especially in there and by the board back there in that opening, and try to get out some extra dust. And just popped the little straw thing off, so we'll have to keep going here. Hang on a second, sorry about that. Open it up in there. Yeah, you can see dust. Well, I don't know how well you can see it, but trust me, dust is coming off. And then I'll get inside there. Yeah, that you can really see. Anyway, I'm going to continue to do that on my own. Well, that was a failure. That's as good as I could get it without, like, seriously taking forever on this thing. And I don't want to. It doesn't affect performance, so yeah, it's gross. But Windex certainly wasn't cutting it. I even used stainless cleaner or steel cleaners. I used rust removers. That's on there. It's not coming off anytime soon. It is a little bit better. I got a lot of just junk off, but I don't want to keep doing that. It's just whatever. So let's move on to the next part. I already used compressed air everywhere. So what else I'm going to do is I'm going to take just some dry Q-tips and just see what kind of like surface dust I can get off this thing. And particularly, well, see, already just a lot of stuff. I'll go over the entire thing. I'm also going to go inside, and this will be significant in there. There's going to be a lot of dust in there. Yeah, gross. Look at that. But in addition to doing that, I'm also going to clean, of course, the cartridge slot. That's very important, obviously, because that's where the games go. So typically what I do for this is I use a cartridge cleaning kit, and I'm sure you guys are just sick of hearing me mention this every time. But it's true, that's what I have to use. Now, there are alternatives, typically the credit card method. If you don't have a cartridge cleaning kit, because most people don't, credit card method is you take a credit card, you wrap it in felt cloth, and then you do what I'm about to do, which is you take your little device, as it were, spray some Windex on it, like that, just a little bit, and then you get some on both sides, I guess, and then you just stick it in the cartridge slot like so. And just go up and down. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Go up and down like that. And just, get dirt out of there. And yeah, there's a bunch that just showed up on my finger. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that. And then once it's, I'll dry it out a little bit by using compressed air inside there to make sure there's nothing in there. Although it looks like there's some kind of, I don't know what it is. This is specific to mine, I'm sure. But it looks like there's some little like leaf or something in there. I'm going to have to try and fish that out. I don't know what I'm going to do exactly. Maybe it's a pin or something. But yeah, I'm going to do that. And additionally, I'm also going to clean this, even though there's no point really. That expansion part down there. I'm just going to take a Q-tip and I'm going to put some Windex on it. These are cheap little Q-tips I got, and I hate them, so I have to get rid of them. But this will work for this. Just go up and down on it like you would a game cartridge, and just watch the junk fly off. So I'm going to do that and get that really clean, even though there isn't much point to it. So I went inside the cartridge slot with this pin, because I saw something in there. I hope you guys saw it on camera. And this is what it was. All this crap was inside there. And that's not even all of it. A lot of it was dust that just flew off. But the inside is substantially cleaner now. So I don't know if it would have worked before, but I'm pretty sure it'll work now. I mean, look at this. This was in there. How would it even read a game with that? So, whatever. That's pretty much the end of the board, unless you want to do little spot checks around buttons and stuff. You can take Q-tips and clean dust off those. Maybe do some on the controller ports if there's any point. I don't know if you have a functional controller or not. Typically, I would advise that they're dry. On the switch, I guess you could. This is the RF switch. I guess you could use some water there, or not water, Windex. Clean that up. And as soon as the case is dry, we're going to go ahead and put it back together. Plastic is completely dry, and it's time to put it back together. You'll have to bear with me because these pieces are really huge, so it's kind of hard to get everything on camera at once. I also went ahead and did a step without you guys, just, trust me for your sake. You take the RF cable and you run it through the back, out the back end of the 5200, just because that takes a while. And then once it gets like there's not much slack left, you have to attach it, you have to clip it to this little mount right there. And then you take the board, and with what's left of the slack, you run it under this little cut right there. And then you just kind of slide the board back into place. And, it's an Atari product, so it's pretty well molded. If you're getting any issues on that side, don't forget there's a little plastic piece that has to go up through the board. So make sure it does that, otherwise it's not going to sit right. Okay, so that's pretty much all you got to do for the bottom part. Now we got to take the top part, the lid here. And what we're going to do first is we're going to put the power button back in. Now your power button, if you took it apart, will have this and a spring. So make sure, of course, you attach the spring. And just be careful not to lose it. Then take your power button and put it in like so. Basically just push it into place and it should be fine. There you go. Now it's nice and clicky. That's good. And then we take the big, stupid, hulking door. And, God, this is really difficult. Okay. You take the door part. Sorry, this is hard to line up on this camera. Okay, and the door is like these little hinge things you see right there, and they just have to kind of line up. Both of them have to line up with the back there, and then you just kind of push it forward, and then turn it around carefully, because there's nothing really holding it there except gravity and the force of your hand. So then you have to slide it onto the system, onto the main piece, which takes a little bit of lining up. And there we go. It's back on. And now the door is safely put back on. It won't fall off. And now what you have to do at this point is flip the whole thing over. And we got to put our screws back in. Okay? So don't forget there are these two slightly smaller black screws that go in the back. One there and one over there. The other 5 screws go on the 3 ports over here and the 2 just to the side there. I also should have mentioned you have to wrap the cable underneath the 5200 after you're done, but I think you would have figured that out. But anyway, so here it is. It's cleaned up, and it's definitely looking better than it was. It is by no means perfect, but it is an improvement. But there is another thing we can do to make this look better. And if you've been watching these for any length of time, I'm sure you already know what I'm about to say. But yeah, we're going to take Pledge. And we're going to put a nice shiny coat of Pledge on it. And I used to use WD-40 for this. I no longer do that. So if you watch some of my older ones and I'm still doing that, don't do that. Switch to Pledge. Not moisturizing though, just like regular orange or lemon pledge. So what you do is take a paper towel, spray some pledge on there, and then you just kind of go like this across the whole system. And immediately you can already see it gets, you know, shinier. Now this is good. This is kind of good for two reasons. One, of course, it's shinier, which is nice. It looks more restored and newer. But it also will get off any little bits of dirt you happen to miss. Now, I mean, it's only been a few seconds, and you can already see a massive improvement on the front. But I'm going to do this on the sides and on the bottom and the back and the front. And then after that, you know, let it dry for like a half hour, maybe not even that long, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah, I've gone over the entire thing with pledge, and I think, considering what it looked like originally, how beat up it looks a hell of a lot better. It is absolutely by no means perfect, but you know, I don't know how much better you could. I mean, what do you want? How much better could you get it? It looks pretty good, so I'm happy with the result. Now, does it work? I don't know. Let's. Why don't we just go ahead and find out? I've got the thing all set up now. Looks pretty good. Honestly, I do think it looks pretty good. Now, of course, as I said before, no controllers. I can't play it, and I can't even attempt to play it even with a broken controller because I've got nothing. I do have a power supply, and I got a TV. So let's see how this works out. This is Mario Bros, as I pointed out before. Plug it in. Fits in nicely. Powers up. And seems to be working. Although I don't know why it makes so much static. But yeah, okay, that's good news. The system does, in fact, work. Although, unfortunately, I can't play it. Now, I'm not sure what that static thing was all about. If I had to guess, it's probably because I need a controller to do something. But unfortunately, I have no other 5200 or even a controller to try and figure that out with. So, but there you go. That was cleaning a 5200, cleaning the biggest friggin' system ever. And I think it turned out pretty well. Thanks for watching, everybody.